from Madison Square Garden in New York City, where later this evening we'll present Trinidad versus Joppy. Our card begins with the women's bout featuring Christy Martin taking on Kathy Collins. Then a battle for the vacant welterweight title between top contenders Raul Frank and Vernon Forrest. That'll be followed by heavyweight Chris Bird facing Maurice Harris. And then the main event. Felix Tito Trinidad, former welterweight and junior middleweight title holder, makes his middleweight debut tonight as he takes on 160-pound title holder William Joppy in the continuation of the Middleweight World Championship Series to crown one man as its undisputed champion. The Middleweight World Championship Series is being brought to you by Madison Square Garden, the world's most famous arena, and by TVKO, pay-per-view entertainment from HBO. As we take a look at the city, the Big Apple is where part 2 of the Middleweight World Championship Series will take place right here at Madison Square Garden. Tonight's main event between Trinidad and Joppy will take center stage here on the main floor at the Garden as we bring you inside and welcome you from our host position here. Good evening, everyone. I'm James Brown, and I'm pleased to welcome you to Championship Boxing here on TVKO. And it's my pleasure indeed to be once again with Hall of Fame trainer and manager Emanuel Stewart. Now, Emanuel, Felix Tito Trinidad, a 4-time world champion, moving up to 160 pounds will not be an easy task.
That's true. You know, I think that Tito himself is fighting more in his proper weight by moving up. I think he's been a middleweight for the last 2-3 years, so he will improve a lot, I think, in terms of his strength and power.
Now, it's interesting because William Joppy is a title holder, yet he is the underdog in tonight's main event. My question to you, how will that mindset suit him? Will it help him or hurt him?
I think it's going to help him a lot, and particularly in view of the fact that it seems to be the season for the underdog. And we've just experienced 2 big upsets, which I had 2 good of view, being personally involved in the upset of Naseem Hamed and also the upset of Lennox Lewis with one single punch by Asim Rockman. But I think that he's going to be very up for the fight. I don't think he's going to be intimidated at all.
Well, one thing we're looking for from you, as always, is your candor. You always call it straight. We're looking forward to it, Emanuel. All right, folks, we'll have more on the main event as the night progresses, but we're set for our first bout of the night, and to set the stage for you on that, we'll take you downstairs ringside to Big George Foreman, Larry Merchant, and our anchor, Jim Lampley.
Thank you very much, James Brown, and we're ready now for potentially 10 rounds of action in women's boxing between the woman who made the first big splash in the sport, Christy Martin, who became famous fighting on the undercards of Mike Tyson fights in the middle of the 90s, and her opponent, Kathy Collins, is regarded as someone with a chance to give Martin only the 3rd loss of her career. So it's Christy Martin against Kathy Collins with boxing analyst Larry Merchant. Let's first take a closer look at Christy.
Just to remind the viewers of Christy's background, she was a coal miner's daughter from West Virginia, went to a small college on a basketball scholarship. Concordia got involved in a tough gal contest, loved that more than basketball, became a prize fighter. Tonight she will make the biggest purse in the history of women's boxing, $250,000.
Christy Martin now fighting out of Orlando, Florida. Her opponent across the ring from Huntington on Long Island, Kathy Collins. Again with Larry, a closer look.
Kathy Collins says that she got her inspiration as a child who was abused, made her a very aggressive person, went to nursing school, blew up to 240 pounds, went to a gymnasium to train down, married her trainer, and tonight she'll be getting her biggest purse, $65,000. The big time for the ladies, Jim.
Fighting in the women's junior welterweight division, and we take a look at the tail of the tape for Christy Martin and Kathy Collins. Christy Martin says that at age 32, she does not feel the biological time clock ticking as a boxer, but she thinks she might like to have children, and she is interested in that number. Kathy Collins, 2 years younger at 30. They're both 5'5". They have equal reach at 64 inches apiece. Christy Martin weighed in at 144. Kathy Collins, a pound and 3/4 lighter at 142 1/4. Judging criteria with our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
Okay, Jim, keep in mind that the Christy Martin-Kathy Collins fight is only 2-minute rounds. It's only 2 minutes in women's boxing. It goes quickly. The 4 criteria that the judges will use to score each round are clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense with a strong emphasis on clean punching in professional boxing. Jim.
All right, thank you, Harold. Now let's go up to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official introduction.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to you, and we welcome you to the world's most famous arena. We're in Madison Square Garden in New York City. And we have a big night of action coming away, and it's all brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout coming away is sanctioned by the New York State Athletic Commission, the officials as appointed. We have timekeeper at the bell, Kathy Paolillo. Judging at ringside from Newark, New Jersey, we have Larry Hazard Jr. From Brick, New Jersey, Tom Kazmarek. From Brookfield, Connecticut, Frank Lombardi. And the third man of the ring, our referee in charge of this bout, Steve Smoger. All right, fans, here we go with the women's junior welterweight special attraction scheduled for 10 two-minute rounds of boxing. Introducing to you first on my left. She is fighting out of the blue corner, entering the ring wearing black and red trunks and hailing from Huntington, New York. She weighed in at 142 1/4 pounds with a fine record of 14 wins, 1 loss, and 3 draws. She has 3 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the IWBF champion, introducing Kathy, the Wildcat Collins. And presenting her opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the red corner in this 10-round attraction, entering the ring wearing her traditional pink trunks with white trim, fighting out of Orlando, Florida by way of West Virginia. She weighed in at 144 pounds. With an outstanding record of 42 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, she has 31 big wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the WBA and WBC Women's Champion, known as the coal miner's daughter, introducing Christy Martin. Once again, Steve Smoger, our referee in charge.
You were given your instructions at the weigh-in, which is obey my commands at all times, respect the bone, above all, protect yourself. This is a good shot. Christy, ladies, touch him up. Touch him up.
Very good. Very good.
Christy Martin has been in a lot of wars. This is her 47th professional fight. Her husband and trainer, Jim Martin, took me aside after our fighter meetings yesterday and said, I'm very concerned about this fight.
Husband and trainer is a common phrase in women's boxing. Kathy Collins is also married to her trainer. His name is Dom Marino. And as we watch the fight, we're joined not only by 2-time heavyweight champion Big George Foreman, TVKO boxing expert, but also by unbeaten woman boxing star Lucia Riker, who would love to fight the winner, Lucia, not nearly as well known among the general public as is Christy Martin, but regarded by a lot of ringside experts as the best woman fighter in the world. Lucia, how well do you know these 2 fighters, and what do you expect from the fight?
Well, I know Kathy Collins, her amateur career, and I know she really paid her dues climbing up to becoming a professional. I don't think she has as much experience as Christy, and I think that'll be a setback in this fight.
Indeed, Christy, with 46 professional fights, an unparalleled record among women boxers, she's had a lot of opportunities.
Jim, for the first time, I feel like the good old boys is going down the drain. We got help for a change.
Well, Christy Martin's purse, $250,000, sufficient to indicate the level of public esteem to which women's boxing, at least in her instance, has risen. There's a good straight right hand by Martin. So far, both women working conventionally behind the jab, and now Christy lands another solid right hand. But Collins comes in and smashes Martin with a left hook of her own. Is this a more conservative Christy Martin than we normally see, Lucia?
No, not at all. I think she takes her time to set it up and to block her with that right hand.
So the first 2-minute round comes to a close, a scheduled 10, and we go to the corners.
Perfect round. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. She might bounce around like that. All of a sudden, they jump in and try to get 6 punches off. Right.
Lucia, very quickly while they go through the corner routine here, you yourself have not had a professional prize fight since August of 1999.
That's right.
I'm sure you still regard yourself as active as ever, right?
I'm always active in the gym. I mean, I shot a movie last year for 5 months in Montreal, which was really challenging physically, but more mentally, which got me even more ready for this big fight that I'm looking at, because it's all mental. Physically, for me, it's just a piece of cake. I've been fit my whole life since I was 15, so training is easy for me.
You'd like to fight the winner of this fight, right?
I'd like to fight Christy.
You'd like to fight Christy. And how confident are you of getting a shot at it?
We're pretty close. We've been talking to King, and we got very close to a deal. Probably we're looking at December.
A fight long time in the making, but greatly to be hoped for. Christy Martin against Lucia Reichert. Of course, step one, Martin needs to get past Kathy Collins, the woman who's in front of her here. In round one, by CompuBox numbers, Martin 13 out of 42, Collins 6 out of 35. George, what do you see so far?
Well, I see Collins throwing a right hand occasionally, and that can pay a toll if this fight continues on for 3 or 4 rounds. The big punches not like to get hit a lot, especially around the chest and the side. What do you think about that? Does it really take away from being hit in the chest by women?
It throws on the breast, you mean? On the breast, you don't really feel. On the chest, it can throw you off balance. With the breast, I don't think it never really bothered me.
Okay. I've always wanted to ask that question.
And you did.
I talked to a doctor about that, actually, because they're doing some research on breast protection. So it's really interesting that I don't have any background on whether it is dangerous for women to get hit in the breast or not.
Okay, good news.
Christy Martin still throwing 1-2 combinations. Kathy Collins' most effective punch has been the left hook. She's landed it upstairs a couple of times when Martin dropped her right.
The last time that Christy Martin fought, she was extended. And I think she's been all through conservative this time to make sure that she has something if this fight continues on for a few rounds, I think.
I think she's going to think it's going to go to distance, so she doesn't want to get tired.
Both women working the jab in this round. Christy Martin got there first with the right hand, a little short with the left hook coming back. Crowd getting into the fight. Already in the early undercard bouts, they've shown themselves to be a tremendously lively crowd. There's a big right hand by Christy Martin, and round two comes to a close.
Okay, relax, 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 stay relaxed. Be alert on defense, Kat, all right? You stay in a distance, and then when she comes in, you go first, all right? Quick, all right? Relax, you're doing all right. You're doing, where's the ball? Okay. Deep breath. Now you got to throw more combination, all right, Kat?
She got right eyes all shot red. Left eye. Get your distance. You better jab to her face. Power jabs. Make them quick.
Kathy Collins says that one of her greatest assets is a great Irish jaw, and Christy Martin tested that jaw a couple of times in the last round.
Kathy Collins says to us that in 18 prize fights, she has not been knocked down. Jabs through the second round, Martin landing hers with much greater consistency, 15 out of 47. Collins only 3 out of 40. She's been short with the jab most of the way.
I would like to see Kathy to commit to her punches more.
I mean, she takes them out, bring them back
She's
before.
waiting too long. She's letting Christy make the fight.
Okay.
She should start sooner. Be more aggressive and commit to the right hand.
If she has the same strength in her shoulders as Christy Martin, there's no need in her being reluctant.
thing that Collins has done in this fight, more than you usually see in women's prize fighting, is she's thrown more body punches.
She is doing a good job of throwing body.
But nobody is better schooled as a women's boxer as Christy Martin, as her experience has shown.
She has double the record, 3.5 times the record that Kathy has. So I think it's very courageous of Kathy to take this fight.
Well, Kathy said she's been boxing 7 years to get to this moment, training her sights on the possibility of having this fight. And I think since she waited so long, Lucia, she ought to get farther inside and try to rough Christy up more.
Well, you can't underestimate the punches of Christy, because Christy does commit. And what also happens when you're a female fighter and you're good, a lot of people around you hype you. They're like, you can do it, but they don't see that Christy has 3 times the experience that Kathy has.
Kathy Collins has landed 3 or 4 very hard punches in the last 30 seconds.
Right hand.
Big right hand.
But Martin looking not too much for worse for wear as they go back to the corners again.
Third round. You got to step in a little bit with the jab, okay? Sit there right here. Now be a little closer to you, okay? Come more around a little bit, put the heat on it, okay? Run her out of there, okay?
Let me have it. All right, breathe deep.
Good, good.
Breathe deep.
Bend your knees on the inside. You let her get lower than you are, right?
Yep. Look at my face, Leo.
Don't wiggle, punch your move out there. Let you have it, okay? It's not bleeding or nothing. Sure to the knee?
No.
Good job.
Sécale los guantes, Héctor.
Looking good. I'm with you.
Hands. All right. Mouthpiece.
Now, Lucia, we want to hear your version of the altercation that you had with Christy Martin. She says you sucker punched her and you wound up on the floor. What happened?
Hard right hand by Collins. Go ahead, Lucia.
I went to see a public training, and I should never have been there, because the moment she saw me, she started screaming at me, and the moment she shoved me, I had a reflex with a left hook. After that, she jumped me, run me into a machine, and then I got jumped by 10 of her bodyguards when we were rolling on the floor. It was really like the Midwest.
This was a gym in Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
All right, Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored through 3?
Okay, Jim, I got a 3-0, 30-27, Christy Martin. Jim, I'm just impressed by Christy's flat-footed punching. In other words, she's landing the power shots. Kathy Collins doing too much running, not getting much power, so she's backing up. So far, Christy Martin 3-0 based on the fact that she's landing more power shots.
I gave the last round to Kathy Collins.
Because of those good right hands.
Yeah, she landed 3 or 4 real hard punches in the last 30 seconds of that round.
Lucia Riker, the 2-minute time limit for women's rounds, reminds me that before 1984, the Track and Field Federation didn't think that women could complete a marathon. Would you rather be fighting 3-minute rounds just like the men do?
I think the new generation should get ready for the 3 rounds. Because women's boxing is so new, we still get accustomed to it, and the longer the rounds, the more sluggish the fight will look. So to keep the pace up, I think the 2 minutes are good.
Would you fight 3-minute rounds?
Sure, I would.
All right, as round 4 winds down here between Christy Martin and Kathy Collins, we're going to bid farewell with a big thank you to superstar Lucia Riker, who favored us with her commentary here for the first 4 rounds. Lucia, best of luck.
Thank you so
much. I hope you get a chance to fight the winner.
Me too. Thanks for having me, George. And thanks for
Go get him, champ. See you next time.
Ooh, hard left hook by Christy Martin after a sizzling left hook by Collins to end the round. And coming up next, you'll see welterweights Vernon Forrest and Raul Frank. Forrest and Frank, who had a no contest last August, have been preparing for a year to fight against each other. They hope to finally get it done tonight.
Rhythm now, all right? You can start counter punching. When you go first, you look good. She look bad. That's what you gotta do. Take distance, you go. All right, Cap? You're doing good.
Your defense is so
Here's your water.
beautiful. You are lovely. You are the best. You are the best. You keep doing it. You don't let up.
And combination.
Drag your body.
Mr. Robe, she seems to usually slide off this way.
Drag your body.
Look for the chin. The chin. Don't just throw. Look for the chin.
Round 5 of a scheduled 10. Christy Martin, coal miner's daughter, in the pink trunks and singlets. And in the red and black outfit, that's Kathy Collins. Harold Letterman's card visible to you at this point. Power punches landed through round 4. Christy Martin, according to CompuBox numbers, has landed 40 to 20 for Kathy Collins. Collins has had some big right-hand shots, and she was just a tiny bit short with another one right there.
You can't clown with Collins, evidently. Christy Martin is doing a good job of boxing tonight. Not only is she throwing power shots, but she's doing a double jab, triple jab, all of the things you need to do as a boxer.
I think this is the most complete performance I've seen from Christy Martin.
Yeah, she's not charging in like the Raging Bull or Raging Cow.
Raging Cow. I can't wait to
They
see
will
that.
get you too. I live on a ranch and the cows will attack us.
Raging Cow. I love it.
Collins has the best right hand tonight. She's been going right on top. Ooh, that body
Hard
shot.
right to the body by Martin. 2 more body shots. A left hook. Sensational rally right there by Christy Martin.
Off her neck, work out, that's it.
Now Collins going to the body as she pins Christy against the rope. Very physical fight.
Been real effective with those right overhand right Collins has. And she needs to continue that. Something is working. Don't worry about going to the body. Keep doing what you're doing.
Lead right hand from Martin. Hitting to the left hook to the body. Good stuff in round 5.
Oh, she can do it no more. Heads off. Heads off on this guy. Heads off. How you feel? Good.
Heads off on this guy. Breathe deep. Breathe
You'll
deep.
never forget your jab. Work in behind that jab. Everything's coming off good. The straight right hand's coming off good. I want a right hand on that chin.
Let me have your face.
That's what his spin right there.
Let me have your face.
That's a beautiful spin. That's what he stay low. Perfect ground.
Good deep stretch. Bend your knees when you...
Here's your water. Good, doctor. You gotta work hard. Extra effort, extra combination.
This is
extra
where you
punches,
show you
all right?
want it.
Here we see Kathy Martin, who is just such a good schooled, well-schooled fighter. The right intuitions, comes back with combination punches. I've watched her work in the gym, and you don't see many fighters of any gender work as hard or as proficiently at her craft. Not as strong as men, obviously, but she knows how to fight.
Body punching that Christy Martin is doing probably is going to be our salvation if this fight continues for a few rounds. It's going to take all of the energy out of him. This
Collins.
Martin ducking and slipping inside and then missing with the big right hand.
When you're fighting a puncher, you want to make certain that a puncher throw away a lot of those energies. Make them miss. Make them throw that energy away. Make them miss.
Kathy Collins has been effective at that in this round, although in the last round, as you saw by CompuBox numbers, Martin landed more than half her punches.
You got to hit her and move out of the way. Hit her and move out of the way until make her try to hit you back.
was here with us, Lucia Riker said that she thought Martin believed the fight was going to go the distance and was pacing herself for that assignment. Now they complete the 6th of a scheduled 10 rounds. Meanwhile, about an hour ago, Felix Trinidad pulled into Madison Square Garden. The crowd has been chanting his name relentlessly during the early fights. Tito not yet in the arena when thousands here began chanting, Tito, Tito, Tito. Rest assured you'll hear the crescendo during the big fight later on. And here is middleweight titleist William Joppy, whose crown will be on the line tonight in this second of the 3 fights which make up the middleweight world championship unification series.
Put your head in your chest. Use those strong legs that God bless you with.
3-3 and 50-50. All right, Cat? Don't forget the 8-8. Let it go.
You hear him? You hear him? Good. You heard it. All right.
Kathy Collins' left eye beginning to swell, as you saw in that shot in round 6 by CompuBox estimation. Collins had a 10-9 edge in power punches connected, one of her better rounds so far.
Her corner is urging her basically to go to war, to get inside on Christy Martin, because the fight is slipping away.
Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim, I got it 6-0, 60-54, Christy Martin. You know, Jim, Kathy Collins is throwing out light left jab, moving in and out, but really not doing much damage. She just, when she lands a shot, she runs away. Christy Martin, on the other hand, flat-footed, landing most of the power shots. So far, I think she's gotten the best of them virtually all the rounds.
Collins landed a right hand.
And a hook also. Made Christy Martin smile a little bit. We know what that means.
Yes, we saw Lennox Lewis grinning like that down in Johannesburg on the first Rockman right hand. Now 20 seconds before the second one iced him. Martin came back with a barrage of body shots after taking the right hand from Kathy Collins. Now Christy goes back upstairs.
Collins is getting a little confident now, putting a little power, a little body into those hooks.
Even though Harold Letterman had Christy Martin winning each of the first 6 rounds, Kathy Collins has been effective from time to time with the right hand. Larry Merchant, let's take a look at a package of Kathy Collins' right hands.
There you see in close the right hand. She's not a big puncher. Very few women are big punchers when they're fighting well-conditioned opponents, but she's getting the right hand in cleanly. Kathy Martin is an aggressive fighter.
Christy Martin.
Thank you, Jim. And she is open for the right hand when she comes in.
Here's your water.
Look at her, Christy. Look at the way she's steady. Now she's very now.
CompuBox numbers in round 7
crying,
show both fighters landing 13 power shots. Martin 13 out of 26, Collins 13 out of 28.
In Martin's corner, they're saying that Kathy Collins was crying in her corner.
Sometimes that's the best thing for a fighter to do is to cry.
There's no crying in boxing, George.
Oh, yes, you better cry sometimes. It's easier to cry and say, I got to get them, than to say, I'll quit.
Round 7 was the first one that Harold Letterman has given to Kathy Collins. Collins chopping away with the right hand here as round 8 progresses. Now it is scheduled for 10 rounds. Christy Martin has never had a knockout past the 7th.
There goes the right hand. See the tears? It'll make you fight. Sometimes you cry because you can't do anything else. You know you're going to continue to fight, although you're being hurt.
In golf, you can often tell how good a player is just by the way he sets up over the ball. Kathy Collins has a great setup. She looks like a pro when she gets into her stance and gets ready to fire the jabs.
Boy, she's going to the body with left hook. Kathy goes to the body real good. Now there's the right hand.
Both fighters seem to be tiring a bit as we come to the closing stages of round 8 and the tempo slows.
Another right hand by Collins.
Kathy Collins able to land her right hand pretty frequently.
Oh,
throughout
the
the fight.
combination.
And draw blood. Kathy Martin.
Christy
Martin is bleeding from the nose. Not an uncommon sight when she fights.
Both women gasping for breath a little bit as round 8 is completed. 2 more rounds to go.
On the inside. Don't worry about it. You right?
All right, Cat?
Your legs are strong.
Okay, here's your water.
Baby, you almost home.
Here's your water.
You are
All you
almost
gotta
home.
do is work. Get those hands busy, all right?
You always finish strong.
Simple.
No pressure, honey.
Keep your chin down. Punch that clock.
I'll repeat. Keep those hands.
Christy Martin's bloody nose may have been caused by the head first, followed by a straight left hand.
Round 9 out of 10. Kathy Collins in the red and black. Christy Martin in pink.
Both fighters are in extremely good condition.
Aren't they, though?
Still throwing with the same power they had in the first couple of rounds.
And still with the head movement, the upper body feints, the footwork. They're conditioned to go
that was that right hand.
And Christy Martin again grinning after taking a hard right hand shot.
Don't punch, don't punch.
Kathy Collins may wind up wishing this were a 12-round fight.
There's that excellent left jab by Christy Martin again. Starts the round out with a good left jab and finish it up midways and at the end. Christy Martin steps in with that hard left jab. This time Collins caught her with a counter right hand on top of that jab.
Don't punch. Sit down, sit down.
Martin winging shots from both sides. Some of them blocked, some of them getting through to the rib cage. Now Collins comes forward, firing upstairs. Martin grinning again, trying to duck and feint.
Good right hand again by Collins. Whenever she wants, she can dig up a good right hand.
Eighth round?
Breathe through your mouth.
Oh, 10th round, you're right.
Breathe through your mouth.
We need this round, okay?
Breathe through your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, all the rounds. All the rounds we need, baby.
Come on, fine, if it happens again, all right? Keep her a distance, you go first. Keep her a distance, you go first, all right? 50-50, 3-3, all right? 8-8, you go. Give yourself enough room. That's good.
She's looking at your own right hand, so we do the same thing.
Last one, last one.
What do you got to score, Miguel?
Last one.
You got it.
You heard it, Kathy. Last one. Last one. All right?
There is either an abrasion or a slight cut over the left eye of Kathy Collins. This has been a fiercely contested, well-fought women's fight.
By CompuBox numbers in round 9, Collins had a 12-5 edge in power connects. Martin landed her jab more frequently. Harold, how do you have it going to the last round?
Okay, Jim, I got an 88-83, 7 rounds to 2, Christy Martin. Jim, as I see this fight, Kathy just didn't stand to fight it up. I mean, you know, she'd stick at that light left jab and move. If she'd stand there and throw that right hand, a good left hook, a low ball, maybe she had a chance of out-banging Christy. But basically, when she did, she got nailed by that Christy Martin overhand right and a vicious Christy Martin left hook. Christy's a terrible hard puncher, flat-footed, always a good position to throw a power punch, and she's been landing them and winning the fight.
I have it 6 rounds to 3.
Christy Martin can also take a good punch.
Yeah, because the biggest punch of this round was a hard left hook by Kathy Collins.
She's been a harder puncher throughout the fight. Christy Martin just turned the other cheek.
Get out, turn around, turn around. Hands up, ladies. Don't punch, don't punch.
Well, Larry, I agree with you. The great step forward we've seen tonight here for women's boxing is the body punches thrown on both sides.
Well, they're becoming more sophisticated fighters over time. And hopefully we'll see Christy fight Lucia Riker someday. She talks about fighting Muhammad Ali's daughter, Layla, because she's better known. Talks about fighting Mia St. John because she's been promoted a great deal. But says she wants to hang the gloves up by the end of the year and start having a family.
And the bout ended with Collins driving Martin into the ropes, and as the bell sounded, Christy just threw her off, as if to say, well, I've had enough of you. We'll see in a moment what the official decision brings. Final CompuBox numbers, a numerical profile of the fight that you just saw. Martin landing 174 out of 462. Collins 105 of 370 by CompuBox numbers. So overall, Martin throwing more, landing more, and landing at a higher connect percentage that usually translates to victory. Jabs, and in the closing rounds, the jab was Christie's best weapon as Collins began to get it cranked up with power punches. 23 out of 156 is not good, and it indicates that maybe Collins should have tried to get a little closer during the bout.
The win was unreal. You look good, you look good, you look good.
I never picked it up like I should have.
Well, you heard Christy Martin's one critical comment for herself. I never picked it up the way I should have. Looking back, she must feel as though she could have put more pressure on in the late rounds.
Beautiful job. Thank you for working. Thank you. Thank you.
Nice people, Christy and her husband. Fun people to talk to. Same with Kathy and her group. And now let's go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. and hear who won the fight.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards with a majority decision. Here are the score totals. Judge at ringside, Frank Lombardi, scores at 95-95, even a draw. Overruled by judges, Tom Kazmarek scores at 97-93. Larry Hazard Jr. sees it 98-92 in favor of the winner, the coal miner's daughter, Christy Martin.
Some of the crowd not in agreement with the decision that gives Christy Martin the 43rd win of her career against 2 losses and 2 draws. And maybe somewhere down the road, Layla Ali or perhaps Lucia Riker, Mia St. John, some of the other bigger names in women's boxing. Now let's go back upstairs to our host, James Brown.
All right, Jim, so Kathy Collins acquitted herself quite nicely, but the coal miner's daughter was victorious, as you mentioned, with her 43rd victory. As we continue here in New York City with the New York Knicks out of the playoffs, center stage will be the main event tonight in the middleweight unification series. William Joppy taking on Felix Tito Trinidad. That'll be coming up between 11 and 11:30 p.m. tonight, based on the length of the undercards. And there is Tito Trinidad again displaying that very calm look and confident look he's shown throughout the week. William Joppy, as we mentioned with Emmanuel Stewart earlier, he knows he's the underdog, but he says he will play off of that, and it will be a victorious one for him tonight when he takes center stage. Still to come on the undercard, heavyweights Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris will be going at it, but up next, it'll be welterweights, Raul Frank taking on Vernon Forrest. And speaking of welterweights, the man who was the man in the welterweight division for the longest time, Oscar De La Hoya, will be back in action coming up on June 23rd here on TVKO, when he will step up in weight to the 154-pound class to take on title holder Javier Castillejo.
Oscar De La Hoya is training for his toughest challenge and most dangerous fight. To win his 5th world championship, he must train harder than he ever has before. And be tougher than the man who has the belt. Super welterweight champion, Javier Castillejo. The Quest, De La Hoya versus Castillejo for the Super Welterweight Championship. Saturday, June 23rd from the MGM Grand, live on pay-per-view. See what happens when Oscar De La Hoya steps up in weight to take on champion Javier Castillejo in The Quest. Contact your pay-per-view provider to order. Will De La Hoya's quest stop here?
So on June 23rd, Oscar De La Hoya will continue his quest to battle his way back into the spotlight here in boxing. All right, folks, in the spotlight, the man who is our blow-by-blow voice on HBO, our sister station, KO Nation Boxing, and also our ace reporter here is another member of our broadcast crew. Let's check in with Fran Charles. Fran?
All right, JB. Well, Felix Trinidad may hail from and live in Puerto Rico, but there's no doubt his rising star power has New York City doubling as a second home. A large Puerto Rican contingent has gobbled up most of the more than 18,000 tickets for part 2 of this middleweight unification series. As for William Joppy, he says he's not concerned about the bias in the crowd. He felt the bias of a nation when he won his middleweight title in Japan in '96. But Joppy's one and only blemish occurred right here in Madison Square Garden when he lost to New York-based contender Julio Cesar Green, and Joppy believes the support that Green got from the crowd definitely influenced the support of the judges. Well, we hope to talk to both fighters a little bit later on to see how they plan to play off the spectators here in the crowd. JB?
All right, Fran, and let me bring Manny in on this one as well. With this very decidedly pro-Tito crowd, how do you think that will affect Joppy? Again, we talked about him being an underdog, and he's been in that position all his career, he says.
Well, I think it's definitely going to affect him. He can say that he won't, but it's nothing like this Puerto Rican crowd. I saw a Puerto Rican Superman and everything over here tonight. It's going to be, I think, emotionally upsetting to him, whether he wants to face it or not. And Tito has become like a god now in Puerto Rico. But I think it definitely will affect Joppy tonight.
You know, we also talked about the fact that there are quite a few boxers will certainly sell wolf tickets, if you will, before a bout. Joppy certainly has done that as well, saying that, hey, I have deserved a marquee fighter for a while. Is he talking too much, or is that self-confidence and he will deliver?
Well, I think it's self-confident, but I think he's really so overly conscientious of the fact that he's fighting a big marquee fighter that it's going to affect him. I believe that Tito naturally, we've all saw him grow up. He's been through a lot of great fights, knocked down, staggered, but he always has found a way to win. So to say, he's grown on us. But even in all of those fights, even though he wins the fights, he still leaves that little vulnerability where you can say, well, one of these times when he gets hurt, somebody may fall up and he may not make it through a fight. So even though he's an exciting fighter, it's exciting knowing that he could lose even though he wins all the time. But Joppy in this fight is really giving up everything, so to say. I physically don't think that he's going to be a bigger guy. Everyone is basing everything on Joppy is a true middleweight. Joppy is so big. Jockey is just. I think that Trinidad is going to come in maybe looking as strong or physically as big as Joppy, who's never been a physical fighter. And I think the biggest thing is going to be if Joppy hurts Felix, will he follow up? Unlike most of the guys who has hurt him and stood back and mind their work and permitted Trinidad to get back into the fight. So I don't think the size is going to be a bigger factor as the fact of will Joppy follow up if he gets Trinidad hurt.
Well, I tell you what, talk about standing back and admiring your work. I don't think we'll find that happening in this upcoming bout, a welterweight bout between Raul Frank and Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest has indicated that he's a little frustrated. He wants to be done with this, that they have been attached at the hip for 15 months, he and Frank, and he wants to dispatch of that nightmare. Jim Lampley will explain that a bit more as we head back downstairs once again ringside to Jim Lampley. Jim?
Well, JB, they trained for a couple of months to fight each other on August 26th of last year in Las Vegas. And in the third round of that bout, a clash of heads created a huge cut on the forehead of Raul Frank just under the hairline. And as the result of that, the fight was stopped and became a no contest. Then the rematch was scheduled on 2 separate occasions, and injuries prevented it from taking place. Now, finally, they will get together with each other. Vernon Forrest says, I've spent a whole year preparing for this. Here's how the punches were going by CompuBox numbers in their first fight per round. Forrest landing 16 of 51 through those first 2+ rounds. Frank landing only 6 of 49 punches per round. And, of course, the jab numbers quite similar. Forrest throwing many, landing only 4 out of 27. Frank landing only 2 out of 19. So it was not a distinguished performance by either fighter at the point at which they banged heads and produced the cut that gave them a no contest. Tail of the tape now, and you're looking at welterweight contender Vernon Forrest, who is unbeaten and still searching for that big moment, perhaps a fight against Shane Mosley. It's Forrest, who is 2 years younger, 1 inch taller, a half-inch longer reach, weighed in 1 3/4 pounds under the welterweight limit despite his height. And as they come into the ring tonight, Forrest unofficially on our own HBO scale still weighs only 147, as opposed to Frank, who wants to get inside and muscle him and outweighs him unofficially by 11 pounds tonight.
I can't recall the last time we've seen a fighter weigh in at the limit 30 hours after the weigh-in, Jim. It could be troubling. I don't know if Forrest is overtrained.
We shall see.
By his own admission, he's been training practically for a year for this fight, but that is surprising.
Just remember, those are unofficial weights at the bottom, produced by our own HBO scale. The New York State Athletic Commission is at great pains to have us let you know that those are not official weights at the bottom. Harold, rules of the bout.
Okay, the Vernon Forrest Raul Frank is scheduled for 12 3-minute rounds using the unified rules of the Association of Boxing Commissions. There is no standing 8 count, no 3 knockdown rule. Only the referee can stop the fight, and you cannot be saved by the bell at any round, including the 12th and final round. Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Harold. Raul Frank from Guyana, a closer look with Larry Mercer.
Raul Frank, childhood friend of Six Heads Lewis, who already has won a title, and he says, however, that he's been attached at the hip with Forrest for this last year. Really, it's been at the head with that clash when they did try to get it, and then the leg, because running on a golf course a couple of days before the rematch was scheduled, he injured himself by stepping into a hole, and here we are back at it again.
And across the ring, unbeaten, untied, and he would say unappreciated, Vernon Forrest. A closer look.
Vernon Forrest, best known in the boxing world for the last man to defeat the outstanding welterweight champion Shane Mosley. That was in the 1992 Olympic trials. He claims, and it has been substantiated, that Mosley has rejected a direct challenge from Forrest without going to a title fight like this. Says his heart has been broken twice by these delays. Tonight, one more chance to become a champion.
And one more chance for us to go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official introductions.
Well, fans, at this time we present a World Championship attraction. It is once again brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Madison Square Garden, TVKO, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. The president is Hiawatha Night Supervisor Darrell Peoples, along with the New York State Athletic Commission, the chairman Mel Southard, special assistant to the chairman Jim Posanello, medical director is Dr. Barry Jordan, and our physicians at ringside, Dr. William Lathan and Dr. Gerald Barlotta. Introducing to you our three judges, scoring the bout from ringside. From Syracuse, New York, Frank Adams. From Harlem, New York, George Colon, and from Riverdale, New Jersey, Steve Weisfeld. And our referee in charge of this bout, he is from Athens, New York, Ken Zimmer. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the vacant IBF welterweight championship of the world. Introducing to you first on my left, he is fighting out of the blue corner, wearing black trunks and fighting out of Augusta and Atlanta, Georgia. He weighed in at a trim and ready 145 1/4 pounds. He is undefeated at 31 wins, no losses, 25 wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the IBF number 2 ranked welterweight contender in the world, introducing the undefeated Vernon Forrest. And his opponent across the ring on my right, fighting out of the red corner, this 12-round vacant championship bout. He is wearing white trunks with red trim, originally from Georgetown, Guyana, now fighting out of Brooklyn, New York. He weighed in at the limit of 147 pounds with a record of 23 wins, 3 losses, and 1 draw. He has 12 wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the IBF number 1 ranked welterweight contender, a fighter they call the Shark Hunter's son, introducing Raul Frank. And once again, Ken Zimmer is our referee in charge, now to give instructions, 12 rounds.
Boxers, you already gave me instructions earlier. I want a nice, clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. Trunks are a little high here. Keep them above the belt. All right, touch gloves?
Lucas, cup.
Yes, I told him.
Last fight started out as a very tactical inside fight. Both fighters expecting this to be a long fight, hoping to wear each other down in the first half of the fight.
Last fight started out profoundly dull. Let's hope this one is more interesting.
That's what I was trying to say, Jim. You put it much better than I did.
Raul Frank hasn't had a completed fight since May 29, 1999. Almost 2 years ago. In those 2 years, he's fought only the partial fight, the 2+ rounds against Forrest that wound up in a no contest. So if ever there was a candidate for ring rust, Frank is your man.
Well, he's only fought about 27 fights, Jim, in 15 years as a professional. Says that what he learned from the first fight was to be more aggressive, and right now he is being more aggressive.
Absolutely. He's thrown a lot more leather here than he did in the first couple of rounds of the fight against Forrest in Las Vegas. Frank's job is to try to get inside of Forrest's reach and long jab. He's been trying to do so early, and now Vernon is firing right hands at him.
I think Forrest's got to settle down and get his left jab working. Everything starts from the left jab, in right back on your left jab.
Break that back, hold.
Frank, of course, can't help but remember that last fight where he was bleeding like that. He's going to be reluctant to keep his head away from the other guy's head.
Both camps expressing in our meetings yesterday that because of the way the fighters' styles met, there's every chance they could bang heads again. Now Forrest at range, where he's most effective, and you see him firing the right hand. Frank ducks back inside to try to get closer to Forrest's body, where he's better off.
I think he's inside trying to get out of the way more than trying to be effective.
Yeah, neutralize Forrest's long-range punching.
Oh, then keep it safe. Forrest is throwing some leather out there. You better get in there to stay safe. Keep yourself safe.
Well, Frank is paying a price right now for being aggressive. He's walking into some stiff punches. Let's see if he can walk through the fire and maintain aggressiveness.
Forrest is doing a good job of going to the body also. He just threw a couple of right hands to the body.
Yep, threw a right hand right on the belt line of Raul Frank. Referee Ken Zimmer's view was shielded. There's a hard right to the body by Frank.
Now that's what you got to do. If you're going to get close, do something. Don't just get in there to stay safe.
Already a trickle of blood in the nose of Frank.
From the left nostril, it was the result of that solid right hand that Vernon Forrest threw.
Break. One punch. Step back.
As round one comes to a close, let's go to Felix Trinidad's dressing room and hear referee's instructions from Arthur McCanty Jr. to Tito.
Owner's noches. I expect a nice, clean fight.
Espero una pelea limpia.
You've been here plenty of times. It's your show. Just listen to my commands, and we'll have a nice, clean fight.
Después de mucho tiempo, tú sabes cuáles son las reglas. O sea, esperamos una pelea limpia.
Lots of luck. God bless.
Mucha suerte y Dios te bendiga.
Good luck, gentlemen.
And you. You got your sea legs now, okay, kid? You keep boxing them. Hear me? You keep boxing them. That was a close round. Yeah. Easy. Don't need that.
This guy ain't got nothing for you. Use the face. When he go down, shoot that right uppercut, okay? Because the right uppercut's dead. Come back with the hook right hand, right behind him. All right? Come on, baby. Let's go.
That's Ron Shields training Vernon Forrest. You saw Al Mitchell in the background, who formerly worked with many amateurs and Olympians.
Last time you saw Ronnie Shields here on TVKO, he was making a valiant effort as trainer to get his fighter David Tua to commit and fight against Lennox Lewis. Unsuccessful. Round two begins with some good body punching from Forrest, and Forrest swinging away upstairs, trying to load up one big right hand and get rid of Frank.
All right, break. Step back.
Although he has very long arms, Forrest has shown that he can fight inside.
All right, break. Break clean. Let go.
Frank just hasn't figured out how he's going to fight this guy yet. Throwing a lot of shots, but you can see he's capable of doing a better job. We just haven't figured out yet. Should he go with the jab a little more? Bob and weave? Just hasn't figured it out yet. He has an excellent jab when he steps in. And he counters good. Frank does. But you can't stand out there with the taller guy. You just got to do something.
Break. Break. Step back.
You see Frank is starting to take over with a better jab now. Jab into the body.
Yeah, there you go.
All of the things that the taller man is supposed to be doing, he's doing.
Round two, a better one than was round one for Raul Frank. Although Forrest landed a couple of big shots early in the round, Frank has been the aggressor through the round's second minute. Good left hook inside by Vernon Forrest.
Break out.
After watching the 2-minute rounds of the ladies, these rounds seem like they're going on forever.
You think they seem like it to you? You should be up there.
Just trying to hold my arms up for 3 minutes, George, would be a triumph for me.
Same here. Same here.
All right, break. Stop. Stop.
And as round 2 comes to a close, we're starting to see more grabbing and holding, more tying each other up inside, more chance that the two heads will bang together as they did in Vegas last August.
Stop. Baby, you're the champ of the world. He's breathing through his mouth in the second round. You're the champ of the world.
Deep breath. Deep breath. You got like 2 more rounds there now. All right? Stay
Keep
focused.
boxing him, baby dog.
Keep banging the body behind the jab. All right? Don't lean in. Fake jab.
Hands down. Take that deep breath out. Give me them 3 deep breaths.
Make the jab to the hands up. Coming over the right hand. Rock and roll. Come back to the good. Up the middle.
Give me some more water.
Leaning in.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
Give me that gun. Take it down, go. Right up corner, guy.
I got you, baby. Go ahead, I got you.
Thank you. In the corner. Wait for the bell.
Round 3 of a scheduled 12 rounds between Raul Frank and Vernon Forrest. They're fighting for the welterweight title belt, which was vacated by Felix Trinidad when he moved up to 154 pounds.
Felix may lead the league in vacated titles because if he wins the main event tonight, he will vacate 2 of the 154-pound titles.
Can't wait to hear what Harold Letterman has to say about this fight, because it seems that Frank's starting to take over. It seems.
Certainly Frank's corner thought that way between rounds. You heard Al Banani saying, you're going to be the champion of the world. Forrest only has a couple of rounds left in him. Forrest has thrown a lot of hard shots early. And George, you always point out that when you throw hard shots and you miss, they take a lot out of it.
Yeah, you got to make certain that you've gone to the body with a few of those. You get tired, the other man has to be equally as tired. If you've just thrown those punches and missed, that goes all that road work.
Fighters love road work, don't they, George? They just love it. They say, I want to get out and run even after my fight is over. Not many.
Not many at all.
Well, after a brisk round 1, the fight has reverted to what they did in the first few rounds of the first fight. Frank is not quite as aggressive as he was before, and he's now just trying to make a good boxing contest out of it.
Leads right hand. He doesn't intend to throw a left hook back. That's how he gets tangled up. Frank has got to think about throwing one and coming back with another shot.
Frank, go off his head.
Crowd is wondering why Christy Martin and Kathy Collins couldn't have fought a few more rounds.
Collins landed the harder shot. She had the better right hand in the whole package.
Raul Frank going to the body down the stretch here in round 3. Trying to pound some more stamina out of Vernon Forrest. There's a hard right hand by Forrest. It drives Frank back momentarily.
Most telling barrage of punches yet in the fight.
Now this is when you've been out of action for a long time. You can't afford to have a guy leaning on your back like Frank is allowing Forrest to do, bending him down like that. That's what'll bring you down quick.
Well, they've lasted a little longer than they did last August when it was stopped into third after the accidental butt. 9 more rounds still to go between Vernon Forrest and Raul Frank, fighting for a vacated welterweight title. Still to come, heavyweights Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris. Great style matchup. Byrd maybe not as elusive as he used to be earlier in his career. Harris becoming a more powerful puncher after having been mostly a boxer earlier in his heavyweight career.
You settle when you come back. You don't rush it, okay? Then drill the shot.
Come on, now, come on. Abi.
Stop going behind that jab and stay.
Stay with that
Now, we
jab.
gave you
Stay
your
with it.
rounds. Now it's time for you to give us what we want now.
There you go.
Okay?
You gave me the
Now
first
start
two
giving
rounds
it
like
to
you wanted,
us.
right?
Shoot to the box.
Okay, just leave this right here, okay? Okay. Now look, stay with the jab, stay with the jab.
There at the end of the round, Forrest got some clean licks in.
There's a pushing down of the head there.
Forrest, who was bald the last time they were fighting, I believe, has grown a head of hair, could have grown a beard.
Harold, how'd you score through 3?
Larry, I think he grew the head to avoid a headbutt. Okay, 30-27, 3-0, Vernon Forrest. Jim, Raul Franco he takes a tremendous shot, but he's not doing enough on offense. He's really not getting in enough hard shots to win a round. Vernon Forrest doing most of the hard punching. I think he's winning it on clean punching with that hard right hand and a good left jab. But I got to tell you, Jim, those trunks, I don't know. I have never seen trunks like that.
Well,
You're speaking frankly, of course. Larry, what do you have?
I scored the second round even, and I thought the third round was very close. Frank might have won the round. Forrest, with that rally at the end of the round, might have pulled it out.
They just came very close to a clash of heads. And I think just to round out the variety here, George, you probably think Frank has won 2 out of 3 rounds, right?
Well, I told you I had to wait until Harold Letterman come in. He straightened me out, believe me.
All right, okay. So you're going to defer to Harold on this,
Yeah.
huh?
This time, I was thinking, but then I'm not.
Oh, there's a good feint and a hard right hand by Forrest. And there's a left hook. And Frank again demonstrates that he takes a heck of a shot.
Or that Forrest doesn't deliver a heck of a shot.
Well, that's an interesting question. Forrest has 25 knockouts in 31 fights, but nobody seems to think of him as a big puncher.
Because he's so rangy and has this elusiveness about him.
If it's a close fight, Forrest probably is going to get the nod for the simple reason that he's landing more big, clean, easy-to-see shots.
Absolutely. Cleaner punching.
Frank seemed to think he can knock this guy out. He hasn't tried to fill up a lot of points.
Well, I imagine Frank doesn't think he would get a decision over Vernon Forrest. Forrest is by far the higher marquee item. Maybe Frank feels like he has to get a knockout and can't risk going to the scorecards.
This pushing down on his head constantly like that. He's been out so long, so few fights. He would barely be able to make it.
I wonder if Frank knows that going into this fight, he had a 10-pound edge. Because of what they weighed in their dressing room.
Probably is not even aware of it.
In the first minute of this round, round 4, the two fighters very nearly duplicated the clash of heads that led to the no contest in Vegas last year. There's another clean, straight right-hand shot by Vernon Forrest to punctuate the round. But let's take a look back, Larry, as they almost did it again.
Right there. Maybe that haircut or that hair growth is what has kept this fight going.
All right, keep your head
Last
up. You know what I'm
August,
saying?
Raul Frank got 20 stitches for the cut that he sustained in that fight.
Look, that was a wonderful round to the last right hand.
Right hand, keep it up. Hear me?
You're doing wonderful.
Breathe, breathe.
Get out there, baby. Come on.
Begin with the jab and finish with the jab.
Vernon, think about what you're doing, okay? Think before you act. When you get close, I want both hands moving with this guy. Not one punch. Don't give me one punch. Move both hands, okay? See that out, Ralph?
Ronnie Shields worked so hard to try to get his fighters to stick to the game plan. He wants Vernon Forrest to start with the jab and finish with the jab. Now Vernon trades jabs with Frank to begin round 5.
That's good advice, and that's what Vernon Forrest was doing early on. He started with the jab and would go right back to it after he did what he had to do. Good advice.
Now Forrest using the jab to set up the right hand. And there's a swelling around the outside of Raul Frank's left eye.
Get hit enough with those right hands.
Yeah, you'll swell.
All right, break it
Yeah.
up, guys. Let go.
He's on him like an end swell.
Frank trying to step inside Forrest's range. Probably needs to punch more often to get inside there. Now he works behind the jab. Tries to slip Vernon Forrest's jab to get inside.
Well, Frank jumps in a lot of the shots because he's not sure he's at range to be hit back. So he'll jab a little bit, and then he'll jump in with a shot, and everything stops.
Frank digging in here. Going to Vernon Forrest's body. Forrest bending him off and getting ready to try to land another big right-hand shot.
Break clean. Break. Step back. Stop your punches. Step back.
They wrestle each other from one side of the ring to the other.
We figured we were going to see a lot of rounds tonight before we got to the main event. And we're seeing a lot of rounds.
Forrest does not want to get into a pushing and shoving match. He's going to lose that one. Legs are a little too thin for that. Do the talking with your punches. Make the referee break it. Sometimes when you start pushing those stronger guys away, your legs start to give out. Frank has gained almost 10 pounds more since the weigh-in.
Well, so far for Vernon Forrest, it's been miss and hit. That round, no exception, as early in the round, Forrest missed some big shots.
But he was able to gauge him eventually. And if there's a difference in this fight, it was the ability with the right hand that Forrest has made. Right there, two more clean right hands. And Frank doesn't have an answer for it yet. He better find one soon.
Both hands with this guy. Both hands with this guy. Come on, let me see your back just down.
And when he's coming in, hop back and uppercuts and hooks. He's coming in with it. Take that right hand to the body here if he bends over.
Pay attention in your corner, son. Use that jab.
You're winning this fight. Keep winning it. Take the fight.
Al Banani of Miami telling Raul Frank, you're winning this fight. Keep winning it. Interesting difference of opinion because our unofficial score at ringside, Harold Letterman, I believe, has given every round to Vernon Forrest. Yes, he has. So Banani's either seen a different fight or simply wants to keep his fighter psyched up and thinking positively.
It may be a closer fight than the score indicates. Sometimes when rounds are close, the judges consciously or unconsciously will alternate giving it to one fighter and the next.
You got to ask the judge about that. He is the judge. I think those right hands to the body by Frank starting to build up something here. Right on the back, he almost lands that right hand.
Frank bravely taking leather to push Forrest into the corner, landing a couple of good hard punches of his own, while Forrest was landing a combination in return.
Forrest is starting to have his back closer and closer to the rope. That's what you want to do when you're fighting a boxer. Keep his back closer and closer to the rope. Keep your hand on him. If you're not even hitting, keep your hands on him. Keep the fight from being in the middle of the ring.
Now here are two fighters fighting the most important part of their life, training for the best part of a year for it, doing their very best, and most of the people here in the Garden could care less. They're here to see Tito Trinidad and William Joppes.
That's the way it's been at those big concerts. No matter how good the undercards are, they wait for the main event.
Raul Frank leaning on Vernon Forrest. Forrest trying to find room to throw his right hand. 6 of a scheduled 12 rounds in the books. Let's go to our Fran Charles, standing by with Evander Holyfield.
All right, Jim, Evander, let's get right to it. Major shakeup in the heavyweight division with Rahman defeating Lewis. What does it do for boxing?
Well, it changed a lot of circumstances, more opportunities since Rahman won the title.
It's been reported that Rahman has signed with Don King and that he'll face Brian Nielsen on the undercard of your fight against John Ruiz, the third fight. A good thing or a bad thing?
I think it's a good thing, you know. At least we'll get on the street heavyweight champ of the world again. I think it just make it better for the game of boxing, either way it go, because now everybody realizes that they have an opportunity to be the heavyweight champ of the world.
Okay, and your thoughts quickly on the main event?
Well, it's gonna be a great fight. You know, it's kind of up and, you know, Joppes got the harder punch, but Trinidad do have the boxing skills, so it can go either way.
Evander Holyfield, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, Jim.
Thank you very much, Fran Charles. Also in the audience here tonight, the man who lifted the heavyweight title from Lennox Lewis down in Johannesburg 3 weeks ago, Hasim Rahman. We'll be talking to him upstairs as soon as this fight is concluded.
The very rich Rahman. He's got money now.
He hit the lottery, as Bernard Hopkins said. Rahman hit the lottery. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. 6-0, 60-54, Vernon Forrest. Jim, I'll tell you what that extra 10 pounds is doing for Raul Frank. When he ties up Vernon, he easily spins him around. I mean, he can push him into the ropes, ride him into the ropes, lean on him, spin him around, turn him, anything he wants. I mean, Vernon is very weak in those clinches, without question. But with the clean, effective right hand being landed by Vernon Forrest, he's winning the rounds. Raul Frank still takes a tremendous punch.
I have it 4 rounds to 1 and 1 even.
Meanwhile, Raul Frank's left eye continues to swell as Forrest continues to try to target it with the right hand.
Frank just can't seem to find the range to hit Forrest. He just can't seem to find the range. Got the heart, got the drive, no range. Doesn't have the range yet.
Frank getting inside and pounding Forrest with a couple of body shots.
Break it out, guys.
Referee Ken Zimmer has his work cut out for him as the two fighters clinch, hold. Their heads flirt with one another over and over. Big right hand by Forrest. And Frank wraps him up. Oh, big left uppercut by Forrest.
Left hook
Terrific
to the
body shot. Left hook landed.
Frank landed a good left hook.
What a beard Frank has. Another good left hook inside by Forrest. Raul Frank walking right into it.
I think that Frank has done a lot better than he realizes down in the body.
Well, what he does realize is that he has to stay inside and
break it up,
try to make something happen and make it happen fast.
Break it up. Watch the long one.
A very gritty performance by Raul Frank because he's on the end of those long, hard, clean punches.
This has been a huge round of power shots for Vernon Forrest, who in the last minute and a half has landed a series of accurate blows with both hands.
right hand that has been the difference in this fight. Maybe that long reach is also what convinced Shane Mosley or his handlers to stay away from Forrest until they find out whether Oscar De La Hoya will be available for a big fight in the fall.
Listen, you got to keep that right here. Listen to this. Raul, straighten that right hand out now.
Catch the power punch number for Forrest at the bottom of the graphic. 29 out of 43 power punches landed in that round.
You understand? Move your hands, combinations with this guy. Let's go, both hands.
So as round 8 begins, the question that comes to my mind is how much more of this can Raul Frank take?
Forrest corner told him to go both hands to the body. Go, 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 go. That may be an opportunity for Frank. Get him in a mix-up. Got the shorter punches. Catch him in that mix-up and load up on 1 or 2.
Oh, solid right hand again for Vernon Forrest.
Break, don't punch,
Folks, we've got a 12-round fight scheduled after this one. And it isn't the fight you bought to see.
No, but it's a heavyweight fight.
That one
Another accurate combination by Forrest, who twice crashes perfect right crosses off the jaw of Raul Frank. There's a good left hook by Forrest, and Frank just keeps coming.
It looked like for a moment he was just going to pitch forward.
These exchanges happen to be Frank's best opportunity. Catch him in one of those exchanges. He's winning the fight 1 or 2 punches at a time. Make him throw 5 or 6 and you're close. You get in a good hook.
You think like a puncher, George.
Yep, you got to think like a puncher if you're sure not winning a boxing match.
You know,
this guy's not a boxer tonight.
The puncher thinks he's hitting me, he's hitting me, he's hitting me. I got him just where I want him.
That's the way Frank better start thinking, because he's not going to win this fight on point.
We saw Evander Holyfield moments ago, memorably in his first fight with Riddick Bowe, that incredible 10th round where he was reeling around for the first minute and a half, hurt, staggered, but he came back in the second half of the round. When he was asked later what was he thinking about in those first parts, he says, I knew I had him there.
9, 10, 11, and 12 championship rounds.
That's the way he
thinks. We need every one. We're a little behind, all right? You hear me? Everyone, deep breath. Breathe. Pump it up, breathe. Deep breath. Give me that other towel. This is dirty one. I need that one. All right, you got it. Yeah. Don't just lay that jab like that. Step it. When you get close, shoot the uppercuts first, then go with your hook. You got to throw combinations with the guy. Don't be satisfied with this guy holding you. You understand? Throw his fucking ass down.
And bump him back. Bump him back. But don't just let him hold.
This is the best Vernon Forrest has looked in a while. He's coming up big in his big fight.
Go, seconds out. Let's go. Go.
You work on this fucking guy. Work on this fucking guy.
Talking about George thinking like a puncher reminds me of one other heavyweight battle. history will record as a footnote only that Michael Moore won the first 9 rounds against George Foreman. What mattered was what happened in the 10th. And there is the score of Harold Letterman at the bottom of your screen as round 9 begins. Vernon Forrest has not thrown that many uppercuts in the fight. And as Raul Frank continues to step straight in, you wonder if a well-timed uppercut wouldn't seal the deal for Vernon.
He's got Vernon Forrest thinking just enough to get out of the way without trying to well-time a shot like that. Getting rough now.
Break, step back, step back.
Vernon Forrest comes from Augusta, Georgia. I believe that was the home of the famous lightweight champion Bo Jack back in the 40s.
And the singer James Brown, he was a boxer there, you know.
Was he?
Yeah. He was a boxer. They all followed that fighter, huh?
Bo Jack once fought in Madison Square Garden, I believe, 3 times in a month. Packed the house every time.
Hard left to the body by Forrest. Just a little short with the right hand across the top.
Forrest is trying to dig in now. Leaning to the left, throwing right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And Raul Frank waves at the official timekeeper to say that's not a knockdown, and then Zimmer agrees with him. So it was a slip. Still no knockdowns in the fight.
Well, I don't know what Raul Frank plans to do when his fighting career is over, but he's already shows promise as a referee.
Vernon Forrest, if he continues at this pace, picks up the IBF welterweight title belt, which was long ago vacated by Felix Trinidad when he moved up to 154 pounds. So quickly, with Larry Merchant, let's take a look at the top welterweight fighters in the world.
Here they are, Shane Mosley, along with the man you've come to see tonight, Tito Trinidad, regarded as the best fighters in the world, pound for pound. Vernon Forrest, Andrew Sixheads Lewis, countryman of Frank, has won a title. And of course, Oscar De La Hoya is still a welterweight, and he'd be number 2 here if he wasn't moving up to 154 next month, and thinking about whether he wants to stay at 54, come down to 47, depending on who he will fight next.
There's former United States Olympic middleweight Chris Bird, now fighting as a professional heavyweight, and he has a chance to polish his apple tonight against Maurice Harris. The winner of that bout will move closer to a potential heavyweight title shot down the road. In round 9, by CompuBox numbers, Frank threw only 32 punches to 55 for Forrest. Forrest landing 19 of his 55, Frank 12 of his 32. They come out and begin trading again in round 10.
Forrest working on his left hook here now. I guess if you get hit with enough right hands, you start to try to get away from it, George.
No doubt about that.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored through 9?
Okay, Jim, I got it 9-0, 90-81, Vernon Forrest. Jimmy had a huge right hand with that right hand, a huge round 8 with that right hand, and a pretty good round 9. Jim, what happened in round 9 was when Raul Frank slipped down, the extra referee called the knockdown timekeeper immediately starts the count, because if it is a knockdown, referee Ken Zimmer working in the ring would have to get the standing fighter to a neutral corner and then pick up the count. The referee in the ring usually waves off the knockdown timekeeper if it's a slip. In this case, Raul Crack waved off the knockdown timekeeper.
Good job, Raul. Meanwhile, he's taken 2 more huge shots from Forrest, a straight right hand and a left hook, both of which landed flush. So if this continues this way, Larry, and goes to a decision, will the review be that Forrest was overwhelmingly dominant and therefore looked good, or will it be that he didn't have the punching power to put a guy away when you hit him with a lot of clean shots?
Well, it'll get lost in the hoopla over the main event. But I think in the boxing world, this will be a performance that's appreciated, certainly by Shane Mosley, who sees him as an opponent down the road. I don't know that Shane Mosley's going to get hit with those big, long right hands. But Vernon Forrest, with his height, is something to be reckoned with.
And of course, as Larry pointed out before the fight, Vernon Forrest was the last man to beat Shane Mosley when he got a decision over him in the Olympic trials in 1992. Mosley spent years recovering as an attraction in the sport from that loss at the trials. Anything changing, George?
Frankie, he is persistent, although he's not finding a way to win this fight. You can't tell him that he's not trying.
Frank landed a right hand, countering there after Vernon Forrest landed a short right hand inside.
When a guy keeps trying, there's always a way.
Main event still to come. Felix Tito Trinidad fighting for the first time at the 160-pound weight level, fighting against William Joppy, a career middleweight. And as they sit in their dressing rooms and continue to prepare for the big fight tonight, there'll be a heavyweight bout between Chris Bird and Maurice Harris before Trinidad and Joppy enter the ring. William Joppy, whose only career loss took place here against Julio Cesar Green in 1997. He says, "I'm happy to be fighting in Madison Square Garden again so I can erase my bad memories." Here in the arena, the crowd begins to chant Tito, Tito, Tito in expectation of what is yet to come. Our shots in round 10 by CompuBox numbers. Forrest 24 out of 42. Frank 11 out of 24.
Vernon Forrest showing that he really knows how to fight, George. Right hands, the jab, the hook. He's gone to the body. Oh.
Steps in with a lead right hand whenever he wants.
And then comes back with a vicious left to the body. What's holding Frank up?
Guts, will, heart, courage, determination.
Now bleeding from the mouth.
Vernon Forrest in a race against time to try to get Shane Mosley to fight him before Mosley moves up to the 154-pound division somewhere in the perhaps not too distant future.
My understanding of what happened in the negotiations was that Forrest offered to fight Shane Mosley before he went for the title here a number of months ago, while Mosley was thinking of fighting the tough Australian Shannon Taylor. Mosley had a slight hernia situation that he was overcoming, and he didn't feel that he would be 100% to fight somebody like Forrest, so he took on Taylor. Now is the question of, will they get the big fight against Oscar De La Hoya? And that's what's putting them on hold into the decision on who to fight in July, his next fighting date.
Frank is a guy to reckon what I tell you. Forrest didn't have that long reach. I wonder how things would be.
Frank, keep it clean, guys. Got you out of there.
Forrest got a...
Stop.
He's ready to tie you up. Just can't do anything but just like an octopus. Holds.
Stop. Break it up.
One round to go. Vernon Forrest, with 4 previous wins, going past the 10th round,
Come on, let's go. Come on.
appears in command here.
Don't left nothing back. Nothing. Go for it like you need one.
You're stronger right now.
Come on.
Don't get sloppy.
Life or death, right? This is fucking death. The last round. Okay? Look, I want you throwing punches with this guy. When you're moving to your right, shoot the jab, shoot the right hand, swing the hook right behind it. When you get...
Last round. I want you to swallow.
Gotta stop this guy now. Say it in, man. Bring it up the middle.
Give me 3 minutes. Can't you give me 3 fucking minutes? Just give me 3 minutes. 3 minutes.
Ronnie Shields asks for 3 minutes. Raul Frank's corner told him, throw punches, you need a knockout. Frank hasn't lost a fight in 8.5 years, since December of 1992. 10-round decision to a fighter named Michael Benjamin. He's fought a very sparse schedule since then, but managed to get himself into this position with 8 unbeaten years. Harold Letterman, how do you have it scored going to the final round?
Okay, Jim, I still got it a shutout, 11-0, 110-99, Vernon Forrest. It's just that big right-handed. He pounded away, pounded away, pounded away. But I got to tell you, Jim.
Not a knockdown, a slip.
That was a questionable slip. It really was.
Yeah,
Look
but
how you
Frank,
went down on
Frank made the ruling again, Harold.
I thought the punch wrapped around Frank and hurled him down. It didn't really knock him down. Frank seems game, but just outclassed tonight.
If you're going to be that height like Frank, you got to fight a lot. Everything is depending upon your timing. Limited move. And
You're
then
saying
step in.
his inactivity has hurt him.
Yeah, it's hurt him. You can see he thinks the right things. He's about to do them, but then he comes out on the wrong end of everything.
Restless crowd waiting to see Tito Trinidad and William Joppy. They're restless now. Wait till they see the next fight.
Are you speculating on the entertainment value of our heavyweight attraction here?
No, I just think they're restless, and it'll take a real strong action fight to get their attention. And it doesn't figure to be that.
You know, boxing, more than politics, makes for exceedingly strange bedfellows. Over on the far side of the ring, and we probably won't be able to get a camera shot of it for you, but I got to tell you, Evander Holyfield and John Ruiz are sitting 3 seats apart, as though they're good buddies. They'll be fighting for the 3rd time sometime later this year.
I think the promoter gave them those seats.
That's right. The promoter gave them the seats.
You got to take what they give you.
You guys go have a good time together.
To his credit, Forrest isn't coasting. Ron Shields, his trainer, wouldn't let him.
Get back, get back.
A battered and swollen Raul Frank makes it to the finish line against Vernon Forrest. And with an appealing piece of audacity, holds up his gloves.
Well, we said he was a referee, not a judge.
Harold Letterman's scorecard, I believe, will be 120 to 108. But let's take a look at total punch stat numbers. Harold, I didn't mean to lead you too soon. Don't worry. You'll get to it. Final punch stat numbers, and you can see that by CompuBox estimate, Vernon Forrest landed 65 more, threw 134 more, landed at a higher percentage. Definitely he landed the cleaner and bigger shots throughout most of the fight. Power punches, big edge for Forrest, landing almost half of his attempted power shots. Frank didn't do too badly, 101 out of 249. Just didn't seem to have enough mustard on his shots to really move Forrest or change the fight in his favor.
You see Don King's in the ring holding an American flag. Oh, he got a Puerto Rican flag also. I was about to say he may know who's going to win this fight. Thought he had just one up.
Well, you know, if Raul Frank had just put up a huge performance, Don might have a Guyana flag somewhere around, huh? Could have brought that into the ring.
2 flags done.
Harold, how'd you score it?
Okay, Jim, 120, 108, 12 to nothing. Jim, I got it real quick. Raul Frank insisted on Everlast gloves. Now, that may have had something to do with it. Obviously, he figured that Vernon Forrest was the puncher. This fight was the only fight on the card where they didn't use Reyes gloves. Raul Frank wanted Everlast. They used Everlast.
So you think that was a factor in him going 12 full rounds?
Well, that and the fact that Vernon Forrest was 147 on the nose tonight.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Came into the ring at the welterweight limit. Now let's go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. to find out who won the fight and by what score.
Gentlemen, after 12 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. The judges are in agreement with a unanimous decision. Here are the score totals. Judges at ringside, Steve Weisfeld and Frank Adams both scored about 118 to 110. Judge George Colon sees it 120 to 108. All three in favor of the winner, and he is now the IBF welterweight champion of the world, Vernon Forrest.
So at long last, Vernon Forrest has a title belt. And as he celebrates, we offer him our congratulations with all due respect to Forrest and the accomplishment for which he's waited so long. We need to move the program along now, so we will not have a chance to interview him. Let's go straight back up to our host, James Brown.
Well, Jim, Vernon Forrest finally has dispatched of the nightmare that he has had for the past 15 months, that being, of course, Raul Frank, as he now has a perfect mark of 32-0. Still to come, the house here at the Garden rapidly filling up in anticipation of the main event between Felix Tito Trinidad and William Joppy. That will be coming up shortly thereafter, the bout between Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris, as we take a look at Trinidad, who is hoping that William Joppy will come to fight and will engage him toe-to-toe. He says confidently he'll knock him out. Joppy, for his part, says he hasn't seen the sophistication and the rapid punching power that he can deliver as a natural middleweight. That'll be coming up again later this evening after this upcoming bout between heavyweights Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris. And of course, the man who is creating all the excitement in the middleweight division, stepping up, is Felix Trinidad. He's standing by with Fran Charles.
All right, JB, well, it's not often that Felix Trinidad is referred to as a challenger, but he is in this case. Interpreting for us this evening will be the incomparable Ray Torres. The first question, Ray. Tito, You say that your walking around weight is 175 pounds. How physically fit do you feel after having to lose less weight?
Tú dices que tu peso de caminar es 175 libras. ¿Qué tan físico te sientes tú tanto peso como hacías antes?
Bueno, me siento muy bien. Pienso que estoy un poco menos en peso. Y no en 175, pero ok. Voy a lucir muy bien. Estoy muy bien en este peso y esto lo verán.
I feel very well at this weight. It's not 175 where I'm now, but I'm at the weight, and I'm going to look real good, and you're going to see a good fight.
Your camp had a first choice as to which of the three middleweights you would face, Holmes, Joppy, or Hopkins. You chose Joppy. Why?
Tu campamento tenía la preferencia de elegir a uno de los otros tres campeones. Tú elegiste a Joppy, ¿por qué?
Bueno, pensamos que era el mejor campeón de los tres campeones. El boxeador que más activo ha estado y es un peleador también de Don King y creo que va a ser una gran oportunidad y le voy a ganar al mejor mediano.
We chose Joppy because he is the best champion. He is the one that's been active the most, and we want to beat the best.
Tito, it's the second time that you've moved up in weight in 20 months. Obviously, as you move up, the opponents hit a little bit harder. Are you at all concerned about the power of Joppy tonight?
Esta es la segunda vez que tú te para peso superior, es 54 horas 60. ¿No te preocupa nada que los más grandes pegan más duro?
Bueno, es posible que voy a pegar más fuerte, pero también yo voy a pegar más fuerte y ustedes verán hoy de qué soy capaz.
All right, well, good luck tonight.
It's possible that the heavier guys punch harder, but I'm also punching harder, and you're going to see tonight who's going to punch harder.
Good luck, Tito. All right, JB.
All right, Fran, you have to love the Warrior's heart. Well, you know what? The beauty and the beast of boxing is that one punch can change everything about a division, indeed, even a career. And that's exactly what happened last month in Johannesburg as Hasim Rahman on the left, taking on the heavily favored Lennox Lewis, delivered that one crushing right that not only stretched out Lennox Lewis, folks, it was a punch heard around the world, shook up the heavyweight division, and now Hasim Rahman is indeed, if you will, the man in the heavyweight division, and he joins us now. Champ, congratulations. Truly, your life has been changed dramatically. How so?
Well, definitely. I feel like I've been able to fulfill a lifelong dream, and that's take care of my parents, my mom. She definitely don't have to work anymore. People always ask me, did I mean it? Did I mean it? Definitely I meant it. Mom, she won't be going back to work.
And I know that makes you feel awfully good. Newspaper articles around the country chronicle perhaps the biggest upset in that Don King may have delivered the biggest upset, not only signing you away from your previous promoter, Cedric Kushner, but also outdueling Sutor's, HBO, and Showtime. The question to you, other than the obvious money had a lot to do with it, what sealed the deal?
Well, I felt like, you know, Don wasn't even in the game plan at first. HBO and Showtime had ample opportunities to come to the table and deliver. They was aware of Don's deal, and they couldn't match it. From top to bottom, he had the best deal.
Well, all right, Emmanuel, I know you want to join in here.
Congratulations, champion. First you come in and you take over my seat. You've already knocked out my fighter. What else are you going to do? But anyway, congratulations on winning the heavyweight championship of the world, and I'm really proud of you, and I told you that in the ring. But, you know, right now, it looks like you got a lot of things coming up. I don't know exactly what's true and what's not true because we haven't heard anything officially from your promoter or your manager. But Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, based on a lot of situations, lawsuits, WBC mandatory related to Mike, are still looming in your future somewhere along the line. And how do you feel about fighting both of those guys? Your personal feelings about fighting Mike, per se?
Well, I feel like, you know, I would fight either one of those guys, but what they need to realize is that they're not the champions anymore. Both of these guys want to dictate to me who I should fight and when I should fight them, and then they want to fight me in the courtrooms instead of saving them for the ring. I don't feel like I'm going to let these guys bully me into fighting anybody. When they're the champion, they pick and choose who they want to fight. They don't just go out and fight, you know, tough fight after tough fight, or what is perceived to be tough fight after tough fight. So what they should realize, and somebody need to tell them that neither one of these guys are the champion, Mike Tyson or Lennox Lewis. It's a new champ. It's new champions, and this new champion is going to listen to himself and not Tyson or Lennox.
Well, even though you won't let the guys dictate it, the public certainly would like to see a Mike Tyson Rahman or Louis Rahman. Might we see that anywhere in the near future?
Oh, definitely. I want to see it myself. All I'm saying is that I'm not running away from any of these guys. I'm just saying that they're not going to force me into fighting these guys just because they say, oh, I'll take you to court. So these guys don't just... Lennox and Lewis should have fought. They had many a times and many a years to fight. You know, both of those guys were champions. They ducked each other like they were both scared. So now all of a sudden everybody wants to fight me. So inshallah we'll get it on when the time is right.
Understand. Put that fist up there right quickly as we get set for the next heavyweight bout. I can't believe your mother said she wouldn't let you play football because she didn't want you to get hurt.
She was scared. Mom, why you ain't let me play football? I wouldn't be going through this right now.
Congratulations. Upcoming, the next heavyweight bout. It'll be between Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris. And let's head downstairs to Jim Lampley. He'll set the stage for that one. Jim?
All right, thank you, JB. A little charm there from the heavyweight champ, Hasim Rahman. And here's a look at the tail of the tape for heavyweights Chris Byrd and Maurice Harris. And you can see that Harris is only 25, though he's already had 30 fights, 18, 10, and 2 the record. 6 feet 4 inches tall, 2.5 inches taller than Byrd, 5 inches longer in reach, and 7.25 pounds heavier is Maurice Harris. Judging criteria from our unofficial ringside scorer, Harold Letterman.
Okay, Jim, the judges are going to score this fight based on 4 points: clean punching, effective aggressiveness, ring generalship, and defense. We've said that clean punching is definitely the most important factor. Jim.
All right, thank you very much. So it's Harris who has moved from journeyman to contender against Byrd, who has only 2 losses to punchers Ike Ibeabuchi and Vladimir Klitschko. Let's go to ring announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr. for the official introduction.
Well, fans, at this time we present the big boys of boxing in the ring and a heavyweight special attraction. It is once again brought to you by Don King Productions in association with Madison Square Garden, CVKO, and Budweiser, the undisputed king of beers. This bout is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. The supervisor is Mahasan Scott, along with the New York State Athletic Commission, the chairman, Mel Southard, director of boxing, George Mitchell. Our 3 judges scoring this bout from ringside. First, from Oneida Castle, New York, Don Ackerman. From Cape Cod, Massachusetts, Don O'Neill. And from Belmore, New York, Tony Paolillo. And the third man of the ring, our referee in charge of this bout, also from New York, Wayne Kelly. All right, fans, here we go. 12 rounds of boxing for the USBA Heavyweight Championship and the IBF World Title Elimination. Introducing to you first, on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing burgundy trunks with white trim, hailing from Newark, New Jersey. His weight, 224.5 pounds. His record stands at 18 wins, 10 losses, 2 draws with 9 wins, coming by way of knockout. Introducing Maurice Sugar Mo Harris. And his opponent across the ring, he is ready to fight on my right in the red corner, wearing black trunks with red trim. Joining us from Flint, Michigan, he weighed in at already 217.25 pounds. His record stands at 32 wins, 2 losses, with 19 of his wins coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the former WBO heavyweight champion of the world, introducing Chris Byrd. Once again, Wayne Kelly, our referee in charge, now to give instructions. 12 rounds of action scheduled.
All right, Maurice, Chris, we're boxing for the USBA Heavyweight Championship. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands at all times. Protect yourself at all times. Shake hands, come out boxing at the bell. Good luck.
It's got to be a great country, Jim, when 2 guys who in their last serious fights were beaten up badly suddenly find themselves in a so-called elimination tournament to decide a mandatory challenge.
Chris Byrd setting up like a southpaw. You know, when you're fighting the southpaws, you shouldn't wait for them. You just got to continue to do what you do all the time.
Well, Harris was a small heavyweight who suddenly finds himself in the position of being the bigger heavyweight instead of being the boxer, he may have to be the aggressor. Can he make the change against a Byrd who is a confirmed boxer?
Which is which? Jim does not want to tell us.
Chris Byrd in the black trunks, Maurice Harris in the red. It is Byrd who is, as George pointed out, a southpaw. Early in his career, he was so maddeningly elusive that most opponents looked at Byrd and said, well, exactly how are you supposed to hit him? All he wants to do is hide, and he can hide in plain sight. But then, Ike Ibeabuchi changed all of that when he detonated Byrd in Tacoma, Washington by going right at him and simply blowing him up with body and head punches. Vitali Klitschko pounded him for several rounds before quitting with a bad shoulder and giving Byrd a victory. Then younger brother Vladimir Klitschko beat Byrd up, as Larry pointed out, in his last official appearance. So let's see if Harris can go straight at Byrd with power punches the way the two successful opponents, Ike Ibeabuchi and Vladimir Klitschko, were able to do. And there's a hard right hand over the top by Maurice Harris.
The good thing about Byrd, he's not intimidated with the bigger guys. He seems to be able to last.
Now, Byrd's always said the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Yeah.
He feels like he's better against a 250-pound heavyweight than he might be against a guy like Harris.
Exactly, because he's looking for his quickness to be the difference in a fight. And Harris is a little quicker than those big heavyweights he's used to fighting.
You see when those southpaws keep their right hand up, fanning it and fanning it. You shouldn't fan with them. You've got to throw shots. You got to throw shots. Right hand, then stick with a left jab.
Harris seems very comfortable fighting as the aggressor.
And you can tell as you watch Harris attack Byrd along the ropes, you can tell that he looked at the Ibeabuchi fight and saw how Ibeabuchi was able to trap Byrd against the ropes and hammer him. When Byrd's in the middle of the ring, you've got a problem.
What you got to do is you got to hit him with a right, then a left, then do it again right quick before he set up again and get his balance. That's what Harris has to do.
Harris trying to land straight right hands against the southpaw. That comes out of the boxing textbook. Byrd flurrying as the round comes to a close.
Don't wait on him. Don't wait on him. Stand there, you're waiting on him. Keep him bagging up. Which way was going? Stay to his jab inside. Give him Larry move. Take a half step back. Yeah, I know it, but when you right in front of him, you ain't done nothing there. Don't get in front of punch it and don't do nothing. You got to use the right hand. And you in front of right hand. Take the right hand from him by stepping to your right.
And do what you're doing. He's not giving you muscle. Take what you can get. Relax. Okay? Double your jab. Feint. Double your jab. Feint right hand to the body. Keep the heat on him with the feint or with the punches. You understand? Don't worry about the headshot. Stay outside. Take the flag. Have a beautiful round for you. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. Come on, put it in. Put it in.
Harris's trainer, James Ali Bashir, on record as being very pleased with that first round. Harris only threw 29 punches in the round. So you wonder if he'll open up and become a little bit less cautious, I should say, as he goes along.
Just to give you an idea of how credible this little mini tournament to decide a mandatory challenger is that David Tua is the other party in it. And 6 months ago, in his opportunity to fight for the middleweight championship, the heavyweight championship, he was a no-show. Mo Harris wasn't even ranked. Consequently, David Tua is suing the IBF because Harris is in the tournament and he's unranked.
Why is it all happening anyway? Didn't Rahman just win the IBF belt down in Johannesburg?
Well, the IBF, there's a noble ambition here, which is to make fighters fight to earn the right to be called